Alright, PANC Cyst team, today I'm going to go through the PANC Cyst admin panel. So let's go ahead and get started. So to access the admin panel, currently you will go to the typical PANC Cyst URL. For the purposes of this demonstration and for the next couple of weeks while we're testing, we will be on the stage site. So that's why the URL has hhtech.io instead of what it will be when participants visit it, panccyst.eurekaplatform.org. So just know that the admin panel is accessed through the same portal that participants access their activities. So that being said, all we're going to do is log in. And I have already created a test admin account. So I'm just going to log in with that. I will provide you and your team with admin accounts, and you will do just the same. And here we are. This is the PANC Cyst admin panel. You'll notice that there's an area to check out participants, an area to look at reports, and then a panel to review messages. So let's go ahead and take a look at participants. Okay, so what we see here is a list of all the participants who have signed up for a PANC Cyst Eureka portal account. So you see their name, their Eureka ID, their email address, date of birth, etc. So this just gives you a bird's eye view. You can see quickly how many people are consented, etc. So let's go ahead and take a look at a participant. So I'm going to click on their name, and this is going to pull up different tabs about this particular participant, green. So what I can see right off the bat is contact info. Everyone in PANC Cyst is going to be signing up with an email address, so that will be provided here. And in some studies, cell phone is required. For PANC Cyst, both of these fields are not required during study sign-up, but may be provided in a separate report. And down here we have the consents. So right now, this is the study consent, so it's the e-signature. And if I click download, I will download a PDF version time-stamped with the participant's name and time and date that they signed the consent. This will also be true of the DocuSign biospecimen HIPAA form. This user just hasn't done that yet, but that would also be right here. Okay, so that's basic info. Let's check out activity. So as you know, Eureka activities are broken up into different e-visits. So right now this participant only has e-visit 1 open, and I can see the names of the different sections. You can see when the e-visit opened, so they must have signed the consent on the 9th. If you want to check that, you can also see, yep, they signed the consent, and that triggered e-visit 1 to open. Okay, let's see a little bit more granular information. If I drop down, or if I click on any of these section titles, I'll get a drop down of what surveys or activities are within that section. So I can just click through and see. If there's a gray circle, that means that that activity is technically next up. I say technically because in PANC Cyst, participants can freely choose which survey they want to do next, and that's why we broke the surveys down into these sections. So it won't always be that someone's doing the activities in a linear fashion, but they might. Another thing to note, and hopefully we'll see an example of this, is when a participant does finish an activity, this gray circle turns to a green check mark. So it's really easy to visually see what a participant has already completed. Great. Okay, let's check out messages. So right here, this is where you will see a panel that has any messages that have already been sent to the user. So these are pretty self-explanatory. The date sent, the time sent, the trigger and condition, so what the participant met to be eligible to receive that message. Status, was that message sent or not? To appear here, the status will be sent, and then the title, like what message was sent to that user. So right now this person doesn't have any messages, but once you are testing with various test users and you're using the admin panel to verify, check out this area and see if the messages that you would expect that participant to see are here. Messages in the queue, it's a little more complex, but I welcome you to check it out. If by clicking it, you can see what messages will be queued up that the participant might get if they meet the conditions. So this definitely is getting technical into how Eureka operates. And you'll see when I clicked on it, it looks very cryptic. So the best thing about this is you can see, okay, there was a reminder e-visit 1 email, and then if you come all the way over to the right, you can see when it was queued at. So that means what time did the Eureka system in-queue that message to see if the conditions will ever be met. And the to be sent at, this is the time that Eureka actually evaluates and says, yep, this person met all those conditions, e-visit 1 is still open, etc. Send it at this time. So this is a way to get a little bit of a look into the future to see if the messages are queued up and ready to be sent to that user. Again, this is more cryptic. You probably won't need to spend too much time here, but I did want to share what messages in the queue meant. Health data, this is something not used by PANC Cyst. We're not doing any lab measurements, nor are we directly uploading medical history. A lot of those items are collected in some of the surveys in PANC Cyst, but this tab is not used directly. Notes. So this is where, this is up to the study team to decide how to use it. In the past, we've had coordinators that use this area to write when they've contacted participants or spoken on the phone, or maybe, this participant called and reported something. Maybe they were having a hard time signing in and you need to get back to them. You could write notes here. Again, this is totally up to the study team if this area is used or not. It works for some study teams and others choose not to use it. Okay, pin messages. This will be blank for all participants at this time. Pin messages are a certain type of messages that appear in our mobile app. This area is still here because we know in the future, someday we probably want to expand PANC Cyst to be a mobile study, but for now, it will just be hanging out. So it's really the basic info, the activity, and the messages tab that are the main interest for PANC Cyst at this time. Okay, so let's go back to the overview of the admin panel. That was participants, and that was clicking on their name. So let's try something else. Let's try clicking on the Eureka ID. Okay, it finally loaded. Okay, so there's a few options here. This is where you can edit if someone writes in and says their email was misspelt or they updated their email address. You can retype it here and click save. But the most important area here is probably the password reset. There is a feature if a participant forgets their password, they can reset it on their own. But some people need a little extra assistance. So a coordinator would click on the Eureka ID to get here, type in a new password, and then hit save. All right, over here, these are for testing purposes only. If we are on production and we're making test users, we would go back and click test user, but don't worry about this panel for now. This panel shows the status of the actual participant. Most people will always be active. You can hover over and read explanations about this. This is also where a coordinator can flag someone as withdrawn. So if someone writes in and says, you know what, I don't want to be a part of the study anymore, you can use the radio button to click withdrawn. You can write a reason if you want. Again, this is a field that is up to the study team, and hit save. If someone is withdrawn or inactive, they won't receive messaging or anything like that. They will also not be in data reports. Okay, let's check out the very last area. Actually, we have two more. Reports. So when you click on reports, you will see all of the reports that have been requested by the PANC Cyst study team. So these are standard reports: activity and activity stats, eligibility and eligibility stats, recruitment and recruitment stats, and the user contact report. The one that is currently missing here is that there was a request for a custom report of the people who did sign the biospecimen consent and filled out that specific contact information survey. So that will also be here as well. So to download a report, just click download button. You'll notice that all of them have been appended with today's date. Reports update nightly around 5 or 6 p.m. PST time. So they are not live. You do have to wait a couple hours if there's a change that you're looking for, or if there's a participant who you're trying to see if they've finished certain activities. Whereas the participants panel, which I showed you where you get that more granular look into a participant, that's live. So as someone is finishing their activities, you can see the green check marks showing up, where the data reports run nightly. And we'll get into more detail about the data reports another time. Okay, so let's go to the third area, messages. Okay, so this is where you can see the configuration of the messages. This isn't at the participant level, this is at the study level. So let's find one that we recognize, probably this one. So we have a reminder message if someone doesn't finish their first e-visit. So you can kind of cryptically read the conditions here and know it's going to send. This is also where a few other, or all of the configured reminders for PANC Cyst will occur or be visible. You can see that they're not all there yet. And you'll also notice that there's a few extra ones in here. One of them is the Eureka text message if someone forgot their password. Again, this is for our mobile app, so this will be inactive, as will this one. So anything that has to do with verifying a phone. Those are just our standard base messages, so that's why they appear here. And then you'll notice there's a few about resetting your password. So that's the feature that I was speaking about earlier. If a participant forgets their password and clicks password reset, we have a standard Eureka message that is sent to them to help them reset their password and get back on track. So we will see a few more messages that are PANC Cyst specific here, probably by the time that you get to look at this. But this is where they will occur, and it gives some insight into when exactly the message will send based on the configured conditions. Okay, that's pretty much it. I strongly suggest everyone who is going to be interacting with the admin panel on the real study site to spend a decent amount of time clicking around this stage admin panel. It's a really useful tool when you are creating test user participants. You see them enroll and sign up. Perhaps you have the participant or the admin view in an incognito window, so you can do them both at once. That way you can come into activity, you can see if someone's consented or if they're doing activities. I'm trying to find an example. So this person, let's see if they've completed anything. I'll give it one more attempt. Nope. So anyway, it's a very useful tool when you are testing to just go ahead and get very comfortable with the admin panel and ask as many questions as you can.